Hello, astrophotography friends. What you're looking at is an image of WR-134, Wolf-Rayet 134, and it's a mixture of both narrowband and RGB data. So today we're going to be processing from masters to hopefully get an image something like this. How are we going to do that? Well, let's take a look at what our workflow is going to be. And here's our workflow. We're going to do gradient removal on all the masters. If it's the narrowband, we'll come down this side. We'll do the channel combination and the color correction and so on. If it's RGB, then again, channel combination and the SPCC, but a slightly different set of parameters on both sides here. Then on to deconvolution and noise reduction, a nonlinear stretch. And then on the nonlinear mode, we're going to separate out the stars from both the RGB and show images that we've recently combined and worked on. If it's the RGB side, we'll be working on the stars only. If it's the narrowband side, we'll work on the starless version of the image only. Once we've done that, we'll recombine them and we'll save. That's today's workflow. So on with the processing. So here's our red, green, blue, sulfur, hydrogen, and oxygen masters. Let's pull them up. And so the very first thing we're going to want to do is to remove any gradients that are in here. And for that, I'm going to use a script actually called GraXpert. Now you might choose to use the new process from Pixinsight. It's called gradient correction. However, I'm going to use GraXpert, and if you have that, it's free, and if you have it loaded, you'll find it under Toolbox and GraXpert. There we go. I'm going to be applying this to each of these 6 masters, and so I'm going to start this process, and I'm going to be back to you when all 6 have been done. All 6 of our masters have gone through GraXpert. Now we're going to carry on with the processing. This is where we split between the narrowband side and the RGB side. So I'm just going to close down this master for the moment and pull up flowchart to have a look at where we are, where we've done the gradient removal. And what we'll do now is we'll run down this narrowband side of the decision here. So we're going to do the sulfur, hydrogen, and oxygen. And the first thing we do is combine them. Now to combine them, we can simply just use the standard, RGB combination. So why don't we do that? As you can see, I already have it set for red, green, and blue, but in this case, we're doing sulfur, hydrogen, and oxygen. So let's pull those in. So for the red channel, we're going to use sulfur. For the green channel, we're going to use hydrogen alpha. And for the blue channel, we use oxygen 3. And here's our image. It's in linear state. I'm doing a Control-A to do a screen stretch. And we get our normal green cast. What's next? Well, SPCC. I know that I need a background reference for this. So I need to choose an area that is as clear as possible. Doesn't look like there's going to be very many areas. So I'm just going to choose an area, let's say, down here. I'm going to pick up a preview. Right, this is going to be our background reference. So now I'm going to do the color correction. I'm going to use SPCC for that. It will also do a background neutralization. I have 2 versions of SPCC set up. One's a narrowband version. You can see I've got narrowband filters mode here. And I've set my filter wavelengths and my bandwidth. I'm going to use that preview we just set up. And I'm going to apply it. SPCC has finished. Let's close it down and take a look. And I'm going to redo the screen stretch. Control A. And I'm going to delete the preview. Let's go back to our flowchart. And so we can continue coming down here and doing some of the work here, the deconvolution and some noise reduction, and then a nonlinear stretch. For deconvolution, I'm going to use BlurXterminator. I'm going to increase the non-stellar sharpening. This is a matter of experimentation, and apply. Exterminator has finished its work, and so now I'm going to move on to noise reduction, and I'm going to use NoiseXterminator for that, just at its standard setting. NoiseXterminator is finished, and now it's time to do our stretches to go from linear to nonlinear. Double stretch, and it's done. So now we have our show image. This is our narrowband. We could do one more thing here. We could get rid of the stars, and to do that, I'm going to use a StarXterminator tool. StarXterminator has finished its work. We don't need these stars from the narrowband side, so I'm just going to close this one. But here is our nebulosity, and we're going to keep that. But before we do, I'm just going to change the identifier, and I'm going to change that to show. And we're going to deal with the colors in it in a few moments. Move now to the RGB side. Let's pull up our flowchart. So really all we've done so far on the RGB is the gradient removal. Now we want to come down the channel combination and the SPCC side. So let's get that done. RGB combo again, red, green, blue, that looks good, and we're off. Okay. If I'd done a linear fit before I did the RGB combo, this would be looking a lot more like the background that we like. But we'll sort this out as we go. I'm just going to change this to RGB. Okay, there we go. And so now we're going to go to SPCC for our color work. Again, we're going to need a background reference. I'm going to expand this out. I believe there was a spot down here that was quite useful. Pop in here, I think. Take a preview. It's going to be our background reference for SPCC. And I'm going to pull out this time the version of SPCC, at least the parameter I have already set up for my filters. So I've got my red filter, green filter, and blue. I'm not going to generate the graphs. I don't have narrowband filters mode turned on. Our region of interest will give us will allow us to select the preview as the background reference. And we're going to apply it. The PCC has finished its work. We'll close this and we're going to get rid of the preview. And again, I'm going to do a stream stretch. Okay, so deconvolution and noise reduction next. So we've seen BlurXterminator. And this time I'm going to sharpen the stars. BlurXterminator is finished. And we'll move on now to NoiseXterminator. Deciding noising step. So NoiseXterminator is finished to reduce our noise a bit. Let's just check this out a little. So I'm going to zoom in. That was before, that was after. So NoiseXterminator has done a pretty good job of getting rid of the noise, I think. Let's go back to our flowchart and see where we stand and what we need to do. So we've done the color combination, we've corrected the color, we've done the deconvolution and noise reduction. Now we want to do a nonlinear stretch for our RGB element. Now, don't forget we've already done all this for our narrowband. All right, so nonlinear stretch, and then we're going to then we're going to separate out the stars. Okay. For this, I'm going to use Bill's link stretch again. I'm going to apply that. Of course, you could use GHS if you want for this step. The screen transfer function together with the histogram transformation, whichever way suits you to do this. I quite like this one. Okay, here's our stretched image. So now we're going to run StarXterminator on this set, but this time we want to keep the stars. Generate a star image. Yes, I want to do that. Here we go. So StarXterminator is finished. It's extracted our stars for us. Now, in this case, we don't need, the output, the nebular output from our RGB. So I'm just going to close that one. And I'm going to rename this stars. I think it's still a little busy with stars, so I think what I'm going to do is a morphological reduction on it. Let's do that. So I'm just going to straight apply it. And I think I'll give it a second go. Okay, and let's close stars. So we've done our star reduction here. What we haven't done so far is we haven't done what's called the narrowband normalization. This is where we're going to do our color steps for the narrowband image. We're very lucky that Bill Blanchard, again, has done an amazing little process for us. And you can get that off his site, and it goes into Pixinsight. And it's called narrowband normalization. Here it is. All right. It's going to be a show palette, so we really want to set it to that first. There we go. And let's get a preview. And so here's our preview. So I think we can get rid of some of this green a bit and make it more gold. So I'm just going to turn up the SCNR. Yeah, okay, maybe about that. Something like this, maybe. How's that? I want to increase the option a bit. Can you give that a boost? And if we want to, we can increase the S2 signal, which is going to come out on the red side. So let's see full up. Oh, back it down a bit. Okay. What about the lightning? I think maybe we preserve it. And we're going to apply. And that's narrowband normalization. All right, what do we need to do now? Well, the final job is combine them. Let's just pull stars up for a minute. I like using James Lamb's combination technique. And again, there's a link to his site in the description. So here we go with this. And all I need to do, it's already set up with stars in here. You can see this is stars, this is our identified stars. And we're just going to apply it directly to our show image. Here is our image of Wolf-Rayet 134. And as you can see that we processed both RGB and narrowband elements to get to this point. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.